All right, folks, it is 6 o'clock. We're going to get started. Officially call the meeting to order. I'll start the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag is behind me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, just so everybody is aware, this meeting is being recorded by Norton Media. Please let us know if you are also recording. We'll get right into the agenda. We're going to open the meeting for public comment. Anybody wishing to address the meeting will be given 3 minutes to do so. If you come up to the podium, please present yourself, your address, or if you have a role in the school department. So at this time, we'll have public comment. Going once. Twice. Okay. Move on to vote and approve the minutes of the January 28th open session meeting. Have all members had a chance to read these minutes?
Yes. Yep.
Any questions, comments, concerns, additions, subtractions?
Nope.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Lawrence, Justine?
I have reviewed and approved the following: school expense warrant, January 28th, 2026, $424,510.68. School payroll warrant, January 22nd, 2026, $1,157,806.15. I wish to enter them into public record.
All right, thank you. Next is our student rep update. Hey, guys.
Hello, everyone. From the high school, we've been celebrating winter athletics with several senior nights honoring our senior student athletes. Norton High School administrators and students also visited the middle school to meet with 8th graders, answer questions, and highlight academics, art, music, athletics, and extracurricular opportunities at the high school. Last week, Norton High School hosted a successful Credit for Life fair for juniors. Thank you to Heidi Koziquez for organizing this event. Guidance has been actively preparing for the upcoming course selection process and has held class meetings during LLB.
And then from the middle school, the Drama Club has begun rehearsals for its spring production of Alice in Wonderland with approximately 90 students participating. NMS also hosted its annual Blacklight Night activity. What the world? Black Light Activity Night, a winter highlight for students. Thank you to the staff volunteers. This week, NMS is celebrating a Spirit Week, which will accumulate in a school-wide Olympics event at the end of the week.
And then also from the middle school, their girls basketball team finished the season with a record of 12 wins and 4 losses. The Lancers ended on a 5-game win streak to close out the season. Big wins over Bridgewater, Seekonk, Raynham, and Rehoboth rounded out the year for the Lancers. The team was comprised of 14 student athletes, 5 of which are 6th grade students. Peyton O'Connell, Bella Fram, Leighton Collins, Madeline Slattery, Mr. LeConte, and Kinley Johnson. 2 7th grade students, Kylie Irish and Nora Crossman, and 7 8th graders, Caitlin Arduino, Lily Castro, Lucy Keeney, Gia Mason, Ellie McKeelan, Megan Tagney, and Nina Worthley.
And then a special thank you and shout out to the 8th grade group of players for another fantastic season and their continued hard work on and off the court, as well as being great role models and peer mentors for our younger group of players. We look forward to them excelling at the next level. And then from the Yell, Hay recently wrapped up its 2-week PTO Boosterthon Glow Fun Run fundraiser, one of the most anticipated events in the year for students. The Glow Fun Run transformed the gym with lights and music as students competed in 35 laps together. Thanks to the incredible support of the #HayNation community, the fundraiser raised over $24,000, exceeding the $20,000 goal.
And funds will support assemblies, enrichment opportunities, 5th grade yearbooks, and other student-centered activities. Because the goal was surpassed, Mr. Gagan and Mr. Balawa will once again participate in a special school-wide celebration, continuing a fun tradition enjoyed by the entire community. And that is all for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did they indicate what their special prize was this year? I know they've had a lot of variety of things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably
I'm
something
always
crazy.
curious to see what they come up with.
I remember when I was in the Yale, they got taped to the wall. So it's always fun.
I think there was, what was the one they had to kiss a farm animal? And
Kiss a pig.
Yeah, kiss a pig. All right, that was always my favorite.
I think I've been slimed
slime.
or pied.
Maybe
Well, at
Dr.
least they
Flanagan
did.
can do that.
We can arrange it, Benson. All right, next we have, thank you guys, by the way. Next we have our student spotlight, our U.S. Youth Futsal team member, Miss Taylor Collins. Come on up.
Come on up, Taylor. Tonight, I am very proud to recognize Taylor Collins, a senior at Norton High School, for her selection to the United States Youth Futsal team. Futsal, a fast-paced, FIFA-recognized form of indoor soccer, has a growing national presence, with players identified through an extensive talent identification and evaluation process. Athletes are scouted through regional and national training camps where they compete against top players from across the country and are evaluated by national team coaching staff. Through this highly competitive process, Taylor earned the opportunity to represent the United States at the international level. As a member of the national team, she recently participated in international competition, including a tournament and training experience in England, competing against elite international opponents. In addition to her national accomplishments, Taylor is a highly involved and respected student athlete at our high school and has served as a 3-year captain. 3 years. Wow. Of the girls' soccer team. Her leadership, dedication, and commitment to excellence, both on and off the field, make her an outstanding representative of our school community. Taylor is also a representative on my Superintendent's Advisory Council, and she is a great contributor there. Tonight, I am very proud to congratulate Taylor on this exceptional achievement and to recognize her in front of all of you. So congratulations, Taylor. Rest of the fam, come on up.
Get in there, Mom. Do you want to tell us about your experience, Taylor?
Love to, absolutely.
Go for it.
Yeah, I just want to start by first thanking just everyone in the Norton community, my family especially, my friends, teachers, and coaches that I've had. Everyone has contributed in immense ways that have been able to get me where I am and put me on the platform to be recognized by these coaches and have this opportunity. So thank you to everyone. The experience was incredible. My team went 2-1-1. We got to train. It was very long, very tiring, but it's so rewarding, the experience. We got to play against some incredible competition abroad in London and Manchester. Made some friends, got to know the girls and really see how they play the sport in their country, which I thought was really fascinating. It was incredible. I scored my first international goal along with a lot of other teammates, and it was really great to just make new friendships, bonds, and memories with girls throughout the whole nation, which we got to represent under one flag, which was really amazing. So the opportunity was incredible.
So is futsal played any different internationally, or is it all basically the same?
It's interesting. Each country kind of specializes in certain skills. You'll notice paces are different, formations or methods they use. Specifically in London, they had very high IQ for the game. They had very good technical skill, and a lot of them, their passing was very direct and coordinated.
So, fun fact, I was a Taylor Collins coach about 10 years ago. So, I've been a Taylor Collins fan for many years. So, it's been tremendous to see how you've grown as a player, as a student athlete.
Thank you so
I remember, gosh, U8, Mom, that we started coaching together. And it was fun then, and it's been fun to watch you since.
Thank you so much.
So, congratulations. So, where is the next chapter for Taylor?
So I'm currently I'm currently enrolled at high school, but in the future I am committed to play soccer at Wesleyan University for the women's soccer program, and additionally I'm also attending the next round of trials for our potential next trip with the USYF team. I believe the next location is Portugal, so gonna have to go through all the rounds of trials and national IDs before that, but right now just putting in the work to be better and just get the spot again.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, guys. All right, next we have award notification and vote to accept competitive and fair share earmarks grants.
Okay.
That's a mouthful.
So part of our policy is that any grant funding that we receive
that it's part of a competitive grant process, we need to have the school committee approved. So tonight, I actually have 3 competitive grants for you to approve, and then 1 grant that was given to us through the Fair Share Earn Mark, which is also known across the state as the Millionaire's Tax. So the first grant I have for you tonight is the support Fund Code 213, support implementing of updated regulations regarding timeout practices. This is a grant for $50,000. The next grant is Fund Code 419, Innovation Career Pathways Implementation and Support Grant for $47,000. And finally, the Fund Code 453, Strengthening Career and Technical Education for $10,000. So each of these 3 grants that I'm sharing with you tonight, over $100,000 here, were grants that were written by our team in partnership with some of our educators. And this is funding for especially our career and technical education that we would not be able to do without these funds from the state. So grateful to my team for all of their work in helping us to advocate for these funds. The last item I have here is Fund Code 2517, which is the Fair Share Earmark, which is $75,000. And this is from our state senator, Senator Feeney. Last year when we met, we were talking, Nick and I met with him on the phone. We talked a lot about Chapter 70 formula and funding, and how Norton as a minimum aid district is really definitely missing out from the current Chapter 70 model. And so we told him that we could really use some funds for math and science curriculum in the middle and high school. And we were pleased to receive this $75,000 for that express need. So thanks for our advocacy, and for Dr. Ackerman for leading this work.
Thanks to the staff. This is incredible work. Are these grants we're currently using, or are they for next school year, or how does that break down?
All funds need to be spent by June 30th.
Okay.
Don't you worry.
And are these aren't recurring?
They are not.
Okay.
Jen, can you just highlight kind of like which, I don't know, a little brief synopsis, if you will, of like each grant and what we're actually using it for in our schools?
Sure, I will do the best I can, and I might look to my team. So the first grant here is the implementation of updated regulations regarding timeout practices. So in all of our schools, you may have a child that is having a difficult time kind of regulating their emotions, and they're looking for, sometimes they need a quiet space in order to kind of reset. And so what this particular grant does is it provides us with funding for professional development for staff. Last time, actually, we've received this grant multiple times. Casey, yeah, you can definitely give more info than I can. So come on up.
She's like, I'll save you.
Yeah.
I was doing okay.
Step on up.
Great.
But
Delegate.
So this is actually our 3rd year in a row receiving this grant. The first year we received it, it was actually came on the heels of us having a couple of different PRS complaints, and we had some corrective actions that we had to pursue, things we had to fix as a result of those. Some of those things that we used the money for that year were doing updated training. CPI training for all of our new staff was an initiative that we did as a result of that. We worked on updating and building some some safe spaces in all of the elementary schools, as well as updating some of the spaces at the middle school. We do not have seclusion or timeout rooms, but we do have calming spaces for all of our students in our GRIT and or BEST programs for students that need some space away. So we had to update those areas to meet the regulations, which were slightly non-specific at that time. So we had to do, the requirement was for adequate space, and that's a very subjective term.
ironically, no one can actually
no one could define it.
That is my shocked face from
No one could define what it was. So we used Mr. Higgins as our 610 example of how we could find adequate space across our buildings. And then we also, last year, we used it to do calming corner trainings for general education and special education staff. We worked with Walker Solutions, Walker School, Walker Solutions, and did trainings for, I think, 30 preschool through third grade teachers. I get the JCS and the LG. I think we had one or two teachers from the Yale as well. So we purchased supplies for them to have common corner areas within their classroom settings to keep kids from leaving the classroom space, as well as updating those rooms and spaces for our main offices, our guidance areas, and the specialized programs as well. We also use some of the money for PBIS and CPI training, as well as doing working with Leslie University's Trauma Institute and doing some classes for them. This year, because we've had the progress of, we've had significant reduction in the use of our timeout areas and our logs of students using those spaces and time out of the classroom. We got the grant this year to do work on more antecedent management and proactive strategies. So we're using the money this year to supplement our PBIS budget, doing some more CPI trainings for all of our new staff, as well as recertifications of staff that have already been trained. Again, we are funding another class through the Leslie University Trauma Institute. We're doing Trauma 3 this year for, I believe, 23 or 24 staff this year. 24. The interest was much higher than what we anticipated, so we were able to push it a little bit further. Additionally, we are looking to do an executive functioning curriculum for our secondary students. One of the things that we're seeing a lot of is students avoiding class time because they have a lot of executive functioning. I see Justine and her OT brain going over there. Working on a lot of those organizational skills, executive functioning strategies to help them keep their time in the class and trying to avoid or reduce the time of their avoiding work in the classroom setting. So we've got money set aside for both the curriculum and staff stipends for training and implementation and development of that curriculum. So that's what we're doing with that.
Great.
That was a lot more detail than I could have provided. So thanks, Casey.
Thanks, Casey.
All right. Who wants to talk about the innovation career pathways? And Brian, you want to take that one?
Sure.
All right.
Oh, nice.
TJ, if you can tap in if need be. So,
I'm good.
Innovation Pathways was a generous grant, $47,000. A thank you to TJ and a thank you to Carrie Murphy at the high school for being key cogs in this. So it's going to really cover 4 categories. So the first is for materials for 3D printing for project completion for students, which I think is really important. It's also going to cover promotional materials to enhance community awareness and student recruitment for the program. The third facet of the grant is going to promote professional development for staff. And then the fourth facet will have stipends for curriculum writing. And we are going to try and create vertical alignment between the middle school and the high school, working with industry standard equipment for this year.
All right. And then there is sorry, I lost my place. The next one was for $10,000 for, I apologize, strengthening career and technical education. Is that still you, Brian?
It is.
All right.
So this $10,000 grant, this year, the primary purpose is we're going to get cameras for our television production. Additionally, we're going to purchase a printer and use these funds to refurbish and replace school store materials and supplies.
Thank you. And then I shared the $75,000 earmark and what we're doing with that funds. So we just need a vote so that we can accept these funds.
John, can I just ask one more clarifying question? Sorry.
Of course.
The $75,000 for the we'll just call it the millionaire's tax.
Yep.
It says the duration is October of this past year through 6/30/28. It's still only $75,000.
Yes.
Just one time, not.
It's a one-timer.
Okay, good.
I mean,
Well, not good, but-
the answer is always no when you don't ask, so we can certainly ask again.
Okay. Anything else? Nope. All right. Entertain a motion to accept the grants as proposed.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, next we have review and vote on Springtown meeting warrant, article, and ballot question regarding the Norton Middle School MSBA roof project. Christine.
So this is our only Springtown meeting warrant article this year, and it is just to vote to appropriate money for the middle school roof. You have the language in front of you that came directly from MSBA. and was approved by legal. So we have first the article, and then also we have the ballot question as well, which is for the debt exclusion option.
Okay.
So tomorrow night at the select board meeting, they will also be voting to approve this project from their perspective and make the final recommendation on if it will be put on the ballot for a debt exclusion project. It is my understanding that that's the direction that everyone's kind of leaning in, because within our already limited budget, there is concern that we would be able to do this under our regular tax base.
Okay.
Do we know how long the debt exclusion would be for? Like, or when does that actually come up?
I do not. That would be under the purview of the town accountant and town manager in terms of what, treasurer, thank you, in terms of what they feel is the most appropriate.
Okay. So that's out of our hands. We're just voting on
Present.
to put a debt exclusion onto the ballot.
We are only really voting to advocate in the language.
Got it.
So, I mean, ultimately, the select board gets to
So we're basically
decide the ballot.
recommendation to them.
You get to put the warrant on town meeting floor.
Okay. So we do have to read the article in full? Yes.
Christine? Did that should be the article? Oh, I said yes. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
All right, here we go. Article states to see if the town will vote to appropriate, borrow, or transfer from available funds an amount of money, $11,443,631, to be expended under the direction of the school committee for the roof replacement project at the Norton Middle School, 215 West Main Street, Norton, Mass. 02766, which proposed repair project would materially extend the useful life of the school and preserve an asset that is otherwise capable of supporting the required educational program, and for which the town may be eligible for a school construction grant from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, MSBA. The town acknowledges that the MSBA's grant program is a non-entitlement discretionary program based on need as determined by the MSBA, and any project costs the town incurs in excess of any grant approved and received from the MSBA shall be the sole responsibility of the town. Any grant that the town may receive from the MSBA for the project shall not exceed the lesser of 55.63% of eligible approved project costs as determined by the MSBA, or the total maximum grant amount determined by the MSBA, and that the amount of borrowing authorized pursuant to this vote shall be adjudicated by any grant set forth in the feasibility study agreement that may be executed between the town and the MSBA. Whew. All right. Questions? Comments?
I think it's just very important to highlight to the public that this is not going to be an $11 million roof. And, with obviously the reimbursement, from the Mass School Building Authority, that we're probably looking at a very significant amount less of that. It's just that is the reminder of the way it has to be with the state, and we got to make sure all of our bases are covered. But you're probably looking at a very significant amount less of what would actually happen, and it obviously would be on a debt exclusion, which will add to your taxes, unfortunately. But the debt exclusion does run out, and once it is over, it does come off, and then those taxes do go away.
All right. Entertain a motion to approve the warrant article as presented and read into record.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I think Laura was quicker.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm also an aye. I just want to thank everybody for their work on this. This has been ongoing for what seems like many months, but we're finally closer to the finish line than the start line. So thank you everybody for their efforts on this. Next we have Superintendent Mid-Year Goal Update. Dr. O'Neill.
Okay. I just have a few do we have to talk about the ballot question? I'm just sharing the ballot question. I think technically that will go to the select board. All right, cool.
Yep.
So I'm a little bit late, I think, on my mid-year goal update this year because we like to try to do this in April do my evaluation in April. So just going to very quickly go through the goals that I had for this year. The first one was strengthen instructional practice from across the district by establishing clear feedback loops from the superintendent to the principals and from principals to teachers, focus on learning targets and effective teaching strategies. So this year, so far at the mid-year point, we've made some nice progress on this towards strengthening instructional practices. We do monthly classroom visits in partnership with the principals. When we do these visits, the principals kind of identify areas of growth from our high impact teacher teams training so that we know what we're looking for when we go through. And then it's a great opportunity for us to have conversations about what's really happening in classrooms. We also are working towards monthly learning walks. Unfortunately, our January one was snowed out. But all of the formative evaluations for all staff, including our administrators, have been completed. And now we're now focusing on planning for upcoming teacher observations and ensuring timely, aligned, and actionable feedback for everybody. Next steps in this particular area are to really focus on deepening the quality and consistency of feedback, monitoring the alignment with our district learning priorities and across the district, and then taking a look at emerging trends from our classroom visits to inform professional development planning. The second goal was to enhance district systems to ensure equitable access by implementing the year one of the strategic plan with focus on building effective data systems. This summer, our team did a joint professional development together. All of our central office team, our principals, and the majority of our district teacher leaders, we all participated in the high impact teacher teams course through Research for Better Teaching. This shared learning experience really established a common framework for the effective use of data to improve instruction. It also really helped us to build common themes and common understanding of what we were looking for when we visited classrooms. Throughout the year, this work has been sustained with additional coaching sessions through the course facilitator, allowing both administrators and teacher leaders to deepen their practice, and then also kind of apply that learning in real time. This work has actually supported early development of our district data practices with an emphasis on understanding student access to core instruction and interventions. We are making good progress on internal implementation, but we definitely need to be more consistent and have visible communication with the broader community. Next steps, we will focus on strengthening the consistency of data use across schools, identifying common academic indicators for our district-wide dashboard, and providing more regular, transparent updates to the school committee and community to really show them where that progress is going. And then professional practice number 3 was all about improving visibility and strengthening connections between my office, students, staff, and families in the community by clearly communicating how our initiatives are supporting student learning. And you'll see that in my mid-year progress update, I said that I really haven't made a lot of progress on this particular goal. I try to be honest with you guys. This, has definitely been moved to the background as we've been, working through a bunch of other things at the district level. But recognizing that gap this week when I was doing my own reflection really made me realize that this is something that I need to work on. So in the coming months, definitely look to establishing more consistent district communication that highlights our instructional priorities and explains the why. Sharing that with both families and staff will be scheduled with clear follow-up to demonstrate how feedback is informing our decisions and next steps related to student learning. So when I come back, typically you guys like to see me before the spring election or before we end up having a new person on the board. Let me know in terms of when you want to see an end of the year update, and then also what particular items you'd be looking for as evidence as well.
Are you still in your mentorship program, or was that only for the year 1 or 2?
Oh no, this is the last year of the new superintendent induction program. So yes.
Okay.
I think it's important to highlight, though, Jen, that all of the work that you and Christine and Brian have put in with negotiations and how that is extremely time consuming. And I think that as a team, we've done, that was a lot. That was a lot. And thank you for all three of you, but so don't put yourself down if we you missed one. Like,
Thank you.
You're
Just one, though.
you're definitely taking on a lot. So thank you for all of that.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
All right, next we have the second reading and vote on the meal charge policy. Christine.
This is hopefully the last time for a while we'll be talking about the mail charge policy.
You just jinxed it.
I know.
Knock on wood.
So it has not changed since last meeting. So we're just looking for a vote, please.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments on this at all? No. Okay, entertain a motion to approve the meal charge policy revision as presented. Is
So moved.
there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Time's the charm.
Yep. All right, next, everybody's favorite topic, discussion on proposed FY 2027 school budget. Dr. O'Neill.
Okay, so thank you. So this portion of the meeting is going to serve as our annual budget workshop. So in the past, we have done this on a Saturday. We've sometimes done it within our meeting. So it is an interactive session where I'm going to go through. I have some slides for you. You have a packet of materials here tonight, along with all of our line items. But please, as things come up, feel free to stop me at any time, ask questions. We have some of our administrative team here tonight to talk through their departments or their schools' budgets as well. And so feel free to put them on the spot. And if they are answering a question, they'll come up to the podium. Okay. Alrighty. So as always, one of the things that we always try to do is when we're making decisions about what our budget is going to look like is we try to tie it back to our strategic plan and our core values. So this year we have a new strategic plan to guide this work with the 4 major areas looking at connected and relevant learning experiences, enhancing student outcomes, high quality instructional materials, and interactive school and community partnerships. Our budget timeline, we actually began this work in early November. Christine and I usually sit down that first week in November. We begin taking a look at putting communications together for all departments and principals. Principals typically have about a month to work with their teams at each of the schools to put their budget together for us and then to bring it back. And then in late December, early January, we sit down and we meet with every single member of the administrative team. We talk through their requests. We take a look at where big cost changes may have occurred. And we begin to put this budget together for all of you. Tonight is our second look at the budget, and we will do this at least one more time before we turn it into the town side, which is due 8 weeks prior to town meeting. One of the things that we talk a lot about in Norton is our enrollment. Today, or actually, I'm sorry, this is October 1st numbers. We had a total of 2,362 students. Of that 2,362, 2,086 were considered district enrollment, students that live here in Norton and are attending Norton Public Schools. Total of 204 school choice students, 39 students that are part of our Reads Deaf and Hard of Hearing program, 32 students in out-of-district special education placements, and then 1 student who is attending a special education program here from another district. And I also wanted to show you some of the overall enrollment changes. So over the last 10 years, we have actually seen a decline of 273 students, or 11%. And that's based on information by the New England School Development Council, or NESDEC. But if you take a look at their projections for the upcoming 10 years, we're really projected to stay pretty steady, looking at only a negative 0.2 decrease in enrollment. We all know that this can change at any time, So it's very important that we go through this study every single year. We take a look at what they're projecting as we move forward, but also knowing that as of right now, we're projected to remain pretty even keel where we are right now. Yep, please.
So
Do you want to go back?
No, I'm thinking, do we as a committee want to kind of go page by page? Do we have any questions on enrollment, go to the next page, or do we want to just kind of bounce all around?
That works.
Okay.
Just to keep it simple.
Yeah.
As far as the enrollment goes, that's not school choice though. That's
Correct. Those are Norton students.
Norton students.
Now, the Reed's DHH enrollment, is that our students going to their program? Because I know or
So
that
we
we're
have
hosting.
a few students that are Norton students that attend the Reed's DHH program 3, according to Casey's Fingers. Those are the students that are coming and accessing our programs through our partnership with Reed's. So as most of us know, Reed's has been here for about 10 years now at this point. And up until this school year, we hosted them in 4 of our 5 buildings. Last spring, they ended up buying a building here in town, down 123 towards the Attleboro line, because they needed more space specifically for their preschool program. They were finding that they had more students coming in at younger ages, but also for their students in that 18 to 22 age range. And so we weren't able to help them with more space specifically at JCS in the high school. So over the winter break between December and January, they actually moved out of their rooms at JCS, and they are now housed at their new location further down the road. However, all of those students are still accessing inclusion services here within Norton Public Schools. So they have a bus that takes students back and forth based on student schedule and student need. And they are still joining us for morning meeting or maybe in some instances math, all of their specials, lunch, recess, all of those things as well. So we have a new contract with them that takes a look at students that we're hosting and renting a physical space versus students that are accessing inclusion services. So they're still very much part of our school community. So the budget request, again, this is a little bit different than what we shared with you last week. Last week we had an increase of 4.56. For this week we were able to bring it down to 4.4. And that was simply looking at a few of the lines that we had there. We changed a few items in regards to facilities, and then we also looked at some class size places where we were able to absorb. So that is the difference. A 4.4% increase is $1,632,500. Gosh, I can't speak today. I'm
1,600,000.
exhausted. Thank you.
Say it with me.
$1,632,514, which would bring our level service budget up to about $38.7 million.
Anything on that, guys?
We, I think this committee really needs to figure this out because I don't think we're getting 4.4% from the town. So I think that's going to be like we deal with another sticking point here.
And I think that's a great point, Nick. And I know that there are a lot of conversations in town about what are we actually looking for. I think the challenge for us, and as the superintendent, I will always come to you with what our actual needs are. And then we will have to, we all have to make the tough decisions about what are the things that we get rid of, what do we cut, what do we eliminate in order to get to that magic number. But it's really important. And, we've done this a couple times. This is, I think, our 3rd round here. And so you'll see some things that look the same, and then you'll see some things that look different based on just informing the community a little bit in a little bit more detail. This is something that you guys have seen over and over again as well. It just shows kind of how we get to that bottom number of 38 million, how we start the increase in salaries is always our biggest budget driver. Increase in salaries due to contractual obligations is just over 2 million. We do have some decreases here, which is really nice to see, and we don't always see this. We have decreases in out-of-district special education costs because we have a few students that are either coming back to the district or they are aging out of a program, and so therefore we are anticipating savings in that regard. When we have those savings, we also have savings when it comes to out-of-district special education transportation. And we actually have decreases to other special education programs. So I see Casey's must have a big smile on her face to see all the money she's saving us this year.
Good job, Casey.
And as we all know, this can change tomorrow morning. So, oh, sorry, I'll go back to that one. Any issues there?
No, thank you.
This one is something that I borrowed from a friend who is a superintendent in another community. And I thought this was a really interesting way to think about the way we're prioritizing our budget. So you're thinking about level services is like basically anything that we're looking for to maintain class sizes, programs, etc. We're a tiny little bit above level services in this budget here, but we're really only at needs based. So it's critical needs that address the needs of the students. And I'll show you in a few slides what that really looks like in terms of staffing and other requests. But we're not looking at advancing our strategic plan. We're not looking at program enhancements or providing a competitive advantage for our students. We're not there right now with this budget. And it makes it even more challenging to have those conversations about, well, we know we're not going to get 4.4 because we can't really take a look at cutting those strategic investments or strategic objectives or looking at the program enhancements because they don't really exist within this construct. This is something new we wanted to share with you guys this year as well. So this is just different state codes that we're taking a look at. As you can see, when it comes to instruction, that is 76% of our current budget. That is everything to do with staffing salaries, teachers, paraprofessionals, all of them are in there. The next biggest driver is pupil personnel, or pupil services, which is special education, OT, PT, speech. Then we have operations and maintenance, programs with other school districts, and then administration, which is about 2% of our total budget.
Is it possible to poll some of our dot districts and possibly location districts on what that looks like for other schools? Because I think that'd be kind of good to see. Like again, 76%, is that normal? Is that low? Is that high? Operation and maintenance is, kind of where do we kind of fall, just to kind of get a little bit more of a grasp on what that pie chart actually looks like.
Sure. We actually got this from saw on several budget books that we were reviewing, and it was all pretty similar, but we can get you more information on each one.
That'd be great. Thank you.
What's under separation costs and traffic guard? What?
Isn't that the weirdest combination of two things? I don't really.
So it's bizarre. So this kind of ties back to our end of year report, which is how they calculate all the funding that we get from the state. And the 5,000 series is a very unique series on the account function code. And it's all the separation cost, meaning if someone retires, this is what we're going to pay you out for sick time and vacation time, that sort of thing. And then randomly in there is this traffic guard salary. It's bizarre, but it's still there. It's been there forever. But I didn't want to not include it, but that's why it looks bizarre.
And we don't have any traffic control anymore, do we?
We have one.
Oh, okay.
He's great.
Okay.
Yep. Mr. Fiore.
It's great.
Okay.
But yes, I said the exact same thing to Christine. I'm like, why are those two things together? They don't make any sense.
Okay.
All right. And then, so we have some pages for you on each of the primary drivers here. So this is the district budget. This is really everything that falls under my office or your purview as the school committee. So you can see there are 3 people that are considered to be in my office. That's myself, my executive assistant, and then our data person that's also a receptionist at the front window. Then you have the business office salaries, who are Christine's office, our payroll and HR, admin tech salary, curriculum, Dr. Ackerman. So that's really our admin team. We've got bus drivers that we employ, the building network technicians, and so forth. Oh, and there's that traffic guard. Falls under that category as well. You can see that the majority of them are pretty minimal differences from one year to the next. And all the FTEs are also connected to, as was requested by the committee. So as you're going through all of these pages, you'll see that you can really see how many FTEs really goes into each particular line. Down the bottom, we have school committee, we have nursing, student transportation, networking and security, and then utilities. Any questions there?
What's under the school committee? Just to clarify, we don't get paid to be here.
No, this is 100% a volunteer position. So the school committee is things like our district membership to MASC, which is the Mass Association of School Committees. It is also how we pay for our NESDEC membership, who does all of our enrollment studies and special education studies. If you wanted to go to the MASC conference, we would take it out of there. Typically, it's not a line that we zero out.
Yeah.
Okay, special education. Casey, why don't you come on up just in case there's any questions. So as you can see here, so we do not see FTEs here. And the reason for that is because while we look at special education as its own entity, all of the actual staffing is seen underneath their school where they're employed as well. So Casey's office was underneath my district information, but if right here you see this is the special education budget as a whole. We know that special education is a huge driver of our district budget. For the FY27, it's looking at almost $17 million, which is an increase of 0.47. However, as I shared earlier, it is definitely one of the smaller increases that we've seen in special education over the years.
Any questions?
So special education, everything that we include here is our in-district costs. So for example, inclusion placements, our specialized programs, GRIT, BEST, STEP, SAIL, LBC, and then all of our services that we provide as well. So thinking about OT, PT, speech, counseling services, and then also the out-of-district student placements. So collaborative or private placement, transportation costs, etc.
This is just a random question. In Norton, and I don't know if this is a statewide thing or not, the preschool teachers, do they fall under the special ed umbrella in Norton?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
they are dual certified.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess my question, when it comes to the out-of-district placements, how often do we assess that program to see if we can mirror it here, or if there, is there a collaborative that maybe is a little closer? Like, how often do we take that on to do that?
So we discuss placement at every IEP meeting for our students that are out of district every year. We don't typically change placement unless we've done an evaluation to determine level of need. But it's an ongoing conversation at all times. So this past year we had one student transition from a private day placement to a collaborative closer to home. Conversely, we then had a collaborative student that went to a private placement. So we're constantly having those conversations. It's our desire to always have students return to district. We are projected to have 1 or 2 return next year as well, from a collaborative, one from a private placement to an in-district program, which is wonderful. And so we try to revisit it as often as possible.
Okay. Now, for savings, like when they come back, that wouldn't probably be reflected till the next budget season, right?
Correct.
Depending on when they come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the other component that's really important to discuss when we talk about special education is the circuit breaker revolving as well. So for any out-of-district placement, we are responsible for the first 50? 53. $53,000. So anything over and above that, we get reimbursed by the state at a percentage. So the last few years, it's been 75%. There is a big push with the legislator right now to move that up to 95%. So that's one of the things that we're constantly advocating for. But that money is targeted specifically for tuitions. So as you can see, our FY26, we had about 1.8, and then for FY27, we're projecting about a little over 2 million.
Now, I think one thing I want to just clarify for the records, we don't have any control over the tuitions.
Unfortunately, we don't.
If that's what best fits the student, then they have to go there.
Yes, and then also we don't have control over what they set their tuition rates at yearly.
Yeah.
The schools then petition OSD, the Office of Special Education, to set their rates. This year, we've gotten a couple of letters saying that some of the schools are going to be requesting increases to their rates. One of the collaboratives that we belong to increased their rates by 10% this year, and we don't have any input as to what those rate increases are.
Okay. Questions?
All right. I did. I moved it. I wasn't sure if there was another one. I don't
Thanks,
know why.
Casey.
Thank you, Casey. Now the teaching learning budget here, everything that falls under Dr. Ackerman's supervision. So, Brian, you want to talk through this?
Sure. Make sure you can hear me. So I think a few things will stand out. Obviously the Office of Teaching and Learning is primarily responsible for professional development. So you'll see some significant line items with regard to PD tuition reimbursement. Those are contractual obligations that we have with the teachers union for teachers to take courses that help them grow professionally, help them learn to become better educators. So that is typically a pretty big driver. As far as our instructional supplies, we've done a little bit of change this year. So we've tried to do some consolidation so that the big ticket items that go to our schools, such as Edgenuity, Panorama, Swiss, Spire, and Consumables, come out of a district line and they no longer appear in a school line. So that's why you will see the difference. The cost overall is about the same, but the accounting for it will look a little bit different in terms of spending.
One of the things that Christine and I have tried to do every year, and of course every single year we find a few more, is to put things where they actually belong. And so what would happen, in previous iterations, the principals would have this larger bucket of funds, and it wasn't necessarily for building-based supplies and materials. It was for a curriculum purchase. So, like as Brian mentioned, some of the things that we would use that for. So, we're trying to really make sure that the line items themselves reflect where we're actually spending money. Additionally, the PD tuition reimbursement, that's not just teachers, that's also paraprofessionals and administrators as well. So that's all in there. I believe the teacher line is about 80,000.
So these are not completely matching the packets that we received yesterday. Are we going to get copies
I'll
of
give you-
this presentation too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Typically, I like to work up here.
Yeah.
Just,
Okay.
yes.
All right, great.
You'll have everything.
Okay, cool, thanks.
And then we updated some of the pages in the budget book today too.
And sorry.
No, I know it's just a question for Brian. Curriculum-wise, we're in good shape for the next couple of years. Like we did a lot of that at the end of the last school year.
We did, and what is really going to help is the earmarks grant, because we are looking at adoption of a middle school science program and the adoption of what they call AGA, Algebra, Geometry, Algebra 2 in high school. So we have ongoing curriculum councils. We've been meeting since September. We've heard a number of vendor presentations. In fact, at the high school tomorrow, we have our fourth and final presentation for mathematics. And then next week, the week after vacation, a science team from the middle school is going to be traveling to Agawam to see a program in action and talk with teachers for almost the entire day. So we are on track to come to you in May for a recommendation for purchase for high school mathematics and middle school science.
Thank you.
I know a lot of these curriculum programs usually have like a contracted service, right? So it's usually like a 5-year contract or things like that. So what are we talking about in terms of that grant that we received? Like, is that going to cover, because we have to use it before the 30th. So then are we going to be having to look for future grants to cover those subsequent years following, especially with the science program, I assume would have a decent amount of consumable.
And the folks that are on the councils, are aware, we're open and forward with costs of all the materials, and and we're explicit with the vendor about this, part of the calculus. So we're really trying to do the heavy lion's share of the financial work within the boundaries of the earmarks grant.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I just wanted to touch on what you said, Laura, about it being different. These slides are we summarize everything that's in the packet.
Okay.
So it definitely looks a little bit different, but instead of providing like the line by line to look a little boring, we thought it's easier visually if we summarize everything but it is. So for example, with Brian's, if you went to the teaching and learning tab, it's all in there. So if you had questions on a particular line item there, and then we took everything and we condensed it to one. So just to follow up.
Thank you.
I think this is easier for the public to follow along too.
Yeah.
So exactly. So the current budget book doesn't have like the district page, the teaching and learning page, but
Okay, good call, Laura.
I'm more than happy to share the slides anyway.
Okay.
All right. So I will pretend to be Mr. Barrett today. This is the JCS budget. So you do have a page in your packet that is the JCS budget. And again, we try to make this really easy for everyone to see so you could see exactly the number of staff. So when we're looking at teacher salaries, we are looking at almost 18 people there. We are, specialist salaries, then special education teacher salaries, paraprofessional salaries. They are all in there and accounted for. On the right-hand side are the principal line items. And as you can see, the principals don't have a lot of money to play with. The majority of their budget is all staffing. So there are definitely small items there in terms of instructional supplies or books and periodicals. Oh, does Nick not have it? He can have my copy. Supplies and materials, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm good.
I got it.
Good. I can look on.
I don't need it.
memorize
Music
this one.
in general supplies, et cetera. So as you can see, you can actually see where we took that money. It was in textbooks, and now it's moved into Brian's instructional supply line. And then their supply line is based on a student per pupil. So any questions about JCS?
Is it safe to say on the left-hand side, and if I missed this, I'm sorry, that's pretty much contractual and we can't touch it? But the right-hand side is
Yes.
areas where we could possibly touch.
Yes. Yeah. So really, I mean, when you take a look at it's, and you'll see it for all 5 schools, the left-hand side is all of your salary obligations.
And so when, like you said earlier, when Casey was talking about special ed, so like the school psychologist and the adjustment counselor, they're listed under the JCS, like 1 and 1.5. But then that salary is also part of that other slide, like the special, right? So it's
Yes.
not,
So again, it's so similar. It's included. When you look at the line by line, if you look at the far left, there are the 16, actually it's even more, all the numbers.
Yep.
And so numbers oftentimes will appear in two areas. So you might see them under JCS for that person, but you'll also see them under special education.
Yep.
Now, if it's a shared position across a couple different schools, would we see that broken down? Like, if it's like a 1.5 at JCS and a 2.5 somewhere else, do we break that down in the salaries as well?
Exactly. So if you look at, for example, the adjustment counselor, the 1.5,
Yeah.
the other 0.5, I believe, is at the middle school.
Okay.
So you'll see that on Mr. Hayworth.
Is it possible to get, and I'm sorry, I probably should have asked before, but it didn't even come to me until today. But I'm sure there's several staff members that kind of are shared between,
Yeah.
is it possible to get like a list?
Yeah.
Like counselor here and here, but whatever. Yeah. Thank you.
And then under the principal salary, is that also including the Little Lancers director?
Yes.
Got it.
So that includes 2 people.
Thank you.
I think it's at the top of the, because I had asked you.
All right. LG Norris, very similar setup here. You can see that the left-hand side is all staffing and salaries, and the right-hand side are those discretionary lines where principals are able to kind of move things around as needed. Same set of lines within each school.
So why would it's minuscule, but why would there be like a difference in the principal travel expenses for the 2 elementary schools?
It
Like
might be
JC has
request.
1,000 or-
It might be request what the principals put in there for, or it might be contractual as well.
Okay. Like again, it's a dribble. So
And then oftentimes those lines, we don't always
yeah.
pay them out. It depends on what people decide to do for conferences, etc. But each principal is able to go in and kind of put their funds where they feel is most appropriate.
What no, I see the generous decrease in textbooks. Are we when we look at textbooks as kind of an outdated form of
So that's the money we
requirements?
moved from school-based lines to Brian's line. So we saw an increase of like 100% in Brian's lines.
Okay.
That's where it was previously. So it looks like a larger decrease, but there are still items.
So that's that reallocation you were talking
Yes.
about. Okay.
Yep. And for K to 3 students, it's not a traditional textbook like we think about it. It's like our interreading consumables or our stepping stones consumables that are just purchased out of one line now instead of having them in 3 different places. Oh, in the back.
Do we separate out the kindergarten teacher salary because of it's not a mandated grade level? Like, why is that separate from?
So the way that we used to do this is that we used to receive a kindergarten grant.
Okay.
That paid for full day K.
Right.
And so they were broken down over the years because of that.
Okay.
And it's just kind of never been moved back in.
Okay.
Do
Yeah.
we have to do that for reporting, or is it just a Norton
It is
thing?
separated out for reporting.
For reporting.
Reporting, okay. Yeah, because I was wondering, because I also noticed when I was looking in the budget book, I was like, all right, so the K teachers were separated out, but like the pre-K wasn't. So that's why I was confused. Okay.
Yeah.
So the pre-K is now the pre-K is rolled in under teachers or under special ed?
Teachers.
Teachers, okay.
Some are actually paid for out of a grant. A revolving account. And then I'm sorry, it's under special ed.
Right, and that actually is a perfect piggyback into my next question. So, I don't know if I'm opening up a can of worms or not. I was curious, and maybe I'm missing it. Do we receive a breakdown of, this is being paid through Title I, this is being paid through, is that somewhere? Do I have it in here? Did I miss it?
It might be part of the hearing, but in our budget book at the end,
It's at the end.
we give
That part that I didn't quite get to before tonight.
Yeah, it's
Got it.
okay.
That's why I was asking. All right.
We tell how many FTEs are in each revolving fund.
Okay, all right.
And paid out that way.
Okay, thanks.
And I would imagine that's part of the warrants as well. So when we do payroll warrants, there are certain items that come from this general fund. There are certain things that come from this particular grant as well. So they're separated for signatures.
I'm learning. Thank you.
That's why we do this.
Just a quick question. LGN, the kindergarten teachers are separated out. Why are they not for JCS?
They are in the budget book, but not in this.
Yeah, okay.
They were separated out in the budget book.
Okay.
I have no reason.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
And then Jen, can you just explain, just because I think this is important, like you have a one full-time principal secretary salary at the LGN, and obviously it has an 11.35% raise. Naturally, I think it's kind of important just to highlight exactly how that happens and what the actual COLA is compared to their actually step in lane. or
Sure.
step.
So the administrative assistants received a 3% raise for the FY27 year. Oftentimes, what we see is the way that the administrative assistant salary scale works is that you earn a step for every year of service up to, I believe, 10 years. So that person may have also moved a step down, and those salary increases are not always set at the same interval. So that would be why it looks like that.
Another reason why I'm sorry that it's so high is because that particular employee also part of the contract, if they worked a certain number of years, they get part of their vacation pay. And she hit that threshold, so it was a whole nother 5 days in there. So that's another reason.
Thank you.
Look at that. All right. Yale School, our final elementary school, very similar setup here. All of the staffing and salaries are on the left. That principal line includes both the principal and the dean of students there. And you'll see all of the other categories are along the left. And then you will also see the discretionary other funds on the right hand side. You can see that textbook line again went way down because we moved those items into the teaching and learning side of the world. And yeah.
So I assume on that paraprofessional salary, it's kind of like that same explanation on the previous with the secretary at LG.
So that could be a couple different things on that paraprofessional line. It could have been that maybe we budgeted this year for 7 paraprofessionals, and then with student need, we now have 3 more people over there than we originally had budgeted. It could be steps as well. And also we do not yet have a ratified contract, so we still need to make sure that that is settled there. But yeah, my guess on that number right there is that it's actually more people.
That is correct.
I feel like I'm on a game show.
Okay. Anything else for the L's? Okay, next.
All right, Norton Middle School. I'll have Mr. Hayward come up. It can be his turn on the hot seat.
Sorry, well, he comes up. When we see nurse salary, who's in charge of that contract?
The nurses are actually part of the teacher and paraprofessional contract.
Okay.
They are members of that unit A. All right, Mr. Hayward.
All right, there it is, the money. Do you have any
Great job. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Generally, a lot of the lines I have control over, I've tried to tighten the belt, even if just very small. Do that through just making sure we're taking good inventory on office supplies. Do we really need that? How much are we actually using? Things of that. And again, just making sure we're checking closets and asking people to, be sure when they make requests. A lot of the instructional supplies and general supplies that I have purview over, kind of can approve stuff. Norton Middle School is great with like project-based learning. The amount of labs that we have in our science class, there's a lot of consumables. We have our art program back, which is great, but even at $5 per 575 kids, even if a kid's art class spend $5 per kid for that course, it's $2,800 real quick. And that's just for art. And we did a creative design class, which we kind of brought up out of nowhere in order to kind of make ends meet as far as the number of specials and programs that we cut. And we had to kind of supply that course. We replaced books, not necessarily our Amplify curriculum or mid-school math, but if a teacher does a particular novel like Animal Farm and we have wear and tear items, our physical education class, again, services a lot of kids. They have that twice a year, and there's a lot of wear and tear stuff. So I'll prove that as it comes up. The instrument program, which we were able to get back, things like that, and just even I know I approve like sheet music, just things of that nature. As far as some of the big increases on there that aren't decreases, like the 260% increase, that's for our grade 6 Chromebooks, I believe. So they have to get new Chromebooks. I think the other large increase on there is to our textbooks, which kind of runs counter to what we just went over with the elementary school. I think Brian could kind of detail that a little bit.
So these would be commitments for mid-school math and Amplify ELA?
To continue those programs.
To continue
correct?
them, yes.
So Vinny, I don't want to put you on the spot, so if you don't have the answer, it's fine. But what did your budget, like, what were you looking to add to your budget? Like, what are we not funding, like, positionally or things like that? Like, what are, like, what's, I don't want to say what's the wish list, but what's, like, the missing pieces? And again,
Let me just say,
keep it
like,
quick.
we were a spotlight school for many, many years. I was on the New England League of Middle Schools. I was on the board for many years. And we came up to re-upping. I know I could charm them and they would give us the spotlight school recognition again. I told them I don't want it again. I don't have a librarian. I haven't had one in a dozen years. We don't have a world language program. Our band and chorus programs are on and off again. We didn't have art last year. So in good conscience, even though I could get that designation and arrive here like I did 3 other times, that we were one of only 7 schools in the state or 9 schools in the state, we don't have those things. We're not a spotlight school. Like Jen said in earlier slides about this is where we're at. Yeah, that's where we're at. But everyone comes in and works hard. We do what we can where we are with what we got. So yeah, we're missing some of those things. But that said, I still think we have like one of the best middle schools around. We're seeing innovation and creativity all the time. A lot of that comes from the creativity of the teachers, the willingness to try new things. And we've had great alignment with our curriculums, like through Brian's work with Amplify and mid-school math. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, but, there's reality too.
So it's more the bringing back the pre-existing programming that we had,
It's like the
unfortunately.
programs. It's oddly with all the budget cuts, I've never felt so calm because I'm like, what's left to cut?
Yeah.
You're going to cut math. Is the board going to vote to cut English? I don't know, because we're down to basics now. We're down to the kids come, they have 4 core subjects. And when I started, we had 8 specialists. We're now down to 5. Contractually, I need, whether we like the specialist programs or not, I needed to meet the contractual obligation to provide teachers a prep period.
Yeah.
So we're really down, not much to cut. I mean, we're into bone, I would say. So when you ask me about what to bring back, there's a lot. But, I don't want to say I'm not optimistic. I'm optimistic we can have a better year next year, despite the cuts. I'm confident last year we had a really good year too. So we'll continue to have good years and make progress. And we offer our kids a ton of stuff outside of the school day, like all those programs and stuff. I mean, just, outstanding. I have a 7th grade daughter in a neighboring district, as does Mr. Goldstein, and we're still like, wow, we offer so much here. We do so much. So, but it's a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for the question.
Thanks, Vinny.
Dan.
Any
Anything
other
else?
questions?
I think this will be a good segue too. So we have middle school fees and we have the total of what we've kind of charged. So the athletic fees year to date, we're at like $30,000 that is paid for by parents / community members into that. How much does like the entire middle school athletic program, coaches, equipment, travel, all of that, kind of what are we all in there for a cost? And how much is actually getting offset? And if that's a question that we can pull later, I'm completely fine with that too, because I know
Probably
that's loaded.
more under athletics than it would be.
Yeah.
Vinny.
I can pull that up in a few minutes.
Yeah, that's fine.
What do you have for sports now? Is it still just the same 5 or 6?
Right when we add a lot, we've added a lot. We have cross country, boys and girls soccer, volleyball, basketball, boys and girls. We have unified basketball. we have baseball and softball, and then we have middle school wrestling. And then, then plus our 8th graders that, participate in high school sports.
You still have the bocce too?
Yeah, we do bocce too. Sorry. Yeah. Unified
I know that was
program.
one of your.
Yeah, we do bocce too.
Yeah. Did you ever build that court?
No, we do paint. Well, Wade was here, but his guys paint a bunch of courts on the grass out front.
Okay.
And then I probably should know this. From a middle school sports standpoint, is that falling under Aaron for the most part?
Technically, yes, but Mr. Hayward does a lot of it as well.
We the schedule. A lot of the scheduling is done with the principals in the Massasoit League.
Okay.
The creation of sports, whether we're going to go forward and create cross country, what sports we participate in is kind of, falls into like meetings I have and so on. We don't participate in all the activities of the Massasoit League just because either interest at our school or what have you. But Aaron does the transportation for sure. That's Aaron. Paying of officials, which is another cost. Nothing more than the buses, though. The transportation is the big one.
Correct.
And then how the fees are collected, that's also done through Unipay, but Aaron sees those lines and deals with that money. He would, if he was here, he'd probably be able to answer that question quickly.
And then from a standpoint of students and going to baseball, whatever it may be, we do cut kids, correct? Based on
Yes.
skill, ability, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
think the only one's cross country.
Basketball, there's typically cuts. Volleyball, we have massive, we could have 3 teams of volleyball. So there are cuts to the programs.
I think the only one historically is just cross country, right? That doesn't, for the most
Yeah,
part.
cross country we had to cut down too. We used to send like 2 buses at one
Yeah,
point. We
okay.
were sending like an army, and it would overload the other
Yeah.
thing. So within the league, that's a thing like where we said, hey, it's not safe to have this many runners.
Yeah.
And we've cut that number down. That was kind of like a league decision, but it also kept us from having to send more buses. So, yeah, there are cuts to the athletic program. But one thing I've said before, probably said it here before, the benefit to the Norton Middle School community goes far beyond the 15 players that make the team. There's kids in the school after school. We get to make announcements about it. Kids come up, they learn how to be fans. They learn how to cheer on Lancers. The fact that these kids throw a Lancers jersey over and they identify as Lancers, I think in some way keeps kids interested in Norton and attending Norton High School, and that helps with our population. I was a principal of a 7 through 12 building, and we were in a highly competitive area down in Holbrook with Archbishop Williams, Blue Hills, multiple Catholic schools. And we wanted kids right from when they entered 7th grade to view it as a 6-year school, and that they were Bulldogs from the beginning. So I really think having these sports programs make them identify and connect with. And like the volleyball team from the high school will come down and watch our team. And so you get those connections. And then softball, similar, they'll come out. So you start to kind of bridge that gap a little bit. So it's a good program.
And then do we still have 8th graders who play up to, call it JV or varsity?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Swimming, this fall it was swimming, wrestling. There's a couple other ones. I can't think.
Football, soccer.
Soccer occasionally. Sometimes it varies on like the needs. Sometimes Wade will take kids. Sometimes he doesn't. It kind of just depends. But,
Yeah, it's more if we to fill out JV. But
Gymnastics,
historically,
Oh,
Gymnastics.
gymnastics, yes.
Gymnastics, like some of those programs.
Do we have any 8th graders playing varsity anywhere?
I think
No.
maybe gymnastics. Yeah.
no, typically it's 2 separate waivers. Like they could play for the high school, and then there's another set of waivers to play varsity. But it's not usual. It's very unusual.
Yeah.
So, from an 8th grade standpoint, are we taking kids up to because their skill level to play at JV, or is it we're taking them up to fill a team at the high school level for JV and or freshman team?
Yeah, that's an important question, because if you're building a program, or are we trying to just
Bingo.
fill out teams? I mean, I like to keep all our kids so we're competitive and we have good matches. But I believe the waivers come through, they're to fill a team. They're not necessarily based on it. And I believe once you cross that threshold of taking 8th graders, you have to take all the 8th graders if they want to go up. That's what I think. So it's not about like a recruiting thing.
And then I think I know the answer to this question because I think we've covered it at some point here as well. One of the issues that we have with the kids from middle school going to high school is, sport-wise, obviously, is would miss class time potentially to go and make sure that they're attending said high school game.
I think
Actually, the high school games are later often than our games.
Okay,
They play at later times. Our kids miss more time.
For middle school sports.
Middle school
Because of the school
sports
time.
than the high school sports because they
Got it.
start later.
Yeah.
There's and yeah, I mean our school day. If we ever can do the start times, that's going to really help on time on learning. I
Yeah,
guess.
that was one of the big drawbacks when we introduced the middle school sports 10 years ago.
12.
At
Yeah,
least.
was it that long? Yeah, it was right when I started. Because we had soccer, baseball, softball the first year, and then cross country the next year. So that was kind of when we've been looking at the start times for 12 years. Because we would have kids from the other teams showing up when our kids are still in school. Like they're waiting for us because they get out so much earlier.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else for Vinny?
No, I just want to thank you for always creating a very positive school environment, and making, really, because I know how challenging it is, the fact that, the middle school seems to get hit pretty good. So thank you for that and being creative. And sorry that we can't really help more.
It's a pleasure and an honor. I like doing it.
Thanks, Vinny.
Thanks, Vinny. All right, Dr. Flanagan, come on up.
Fresh blood here.
Be nice.
So 5 years ago, your budget was what?
No, first off, I want to say this is obviously me being my first year. This was a very, I'll say, rigorous educational experience for me. I met a lot with, I want to publicly thank, Brian and Christine and Jen and Casey and Karen, because they really, and of course the academic coordinators too as well. They kind of led me through this process, being new and kind of provide more context as to kind of what the prior budget's numbers were and the why behind that. So as you can see a little bit here, that there's some differential. I want to kind of explain that a little bit with regards to the instructional supplies. So the instructional supplies account is more like it's all the departments, the individual departments. So some of them had minor adjustments, needs. I would say the biggest one was the business department. I'm going to kind of give you a little more context to that. So we, when I first started, I met with some individuals, some stakeholders to sort of take a look at the service that we provide in our industrial arts department and ways in which we can enhance it. And certainly, one thing we're really proud of at Norton High School is being a comprehensive high school. So there's some expenses that go along with that. A big chunk of that was lumber, to be honest with you. But then there were other supplies that we felt would bring this industrial arts department forward and make it more attractive for kids to have more rigorous sort of real life contextual experiences per se. And then the other part is, and it's something that I guess it's a good problem to have. You'll see an increase in DECA, and so for that's one thing. It's amazing, these kids. I had a chance to go down to Cape Cod and watch them in real time, just compete, and then all the awards that we received it was mind blowing. But so we have, I would say, around 100 kids participate in DECA, and we have some great advisors with Jen Skronek, Rachel Pilot, and Bobby Portway that prepare these kids to really excel and just perform at the highest level. So they were down in Cape Cod and in Hyannis, and they, about 100 of them, and then I want to say 92 of them qualified for the next part of the, into states, right? So with that comes costs, right? And part of that is, the DECA organization requires chaperones per number of kids. And so a lot of that expense is, for, the expenses for chaperones. Obviously, with the number of kids that we have, we require a lot of buses, right? So that expense is considerable there too as well. So I just wanted to I'm sure that was a couple of things I had questions about, but I just want to kind of give you a little bit of context as to why those numbers are they are.
Anything else for TJ? No?
Just a thank you too, because your presence is definitely noted and noticed by the students. Like they were like, Mr. Flanagan was down at the Cape. He came to the Cape to see us, and so it's noted. So thank you for everything that you've been doing since you started.
It's been my pleasure. It's I'm just humbled and honored to call Norton High my new home, and I'm just super excited to be here. So thank you.
Can we get you back up there? Sorry. I guess Dan.
I think that was way too easy.
No, Dan asked Vinny his kind of wish list. I mean, obviously, 1 year you're probably in a little bit of a whirlwind, but kind of is there anything that's on the top of your head that would be like this would be largely beneficial?
That's a great question, Nick. I'm still getting to know the ins and outs of the school and what the needs are. We're in the process now looking at our school improvement plan now that our strategic plan is rolled out. And so that would be really kind of eye-opening for me to sort of take a look at what our needs are and from various stakeholders within our school. But I hate to say it, I honestly don't necessarily have specific things at this time. I am this is like the year of learning for me and the year of sort of looking at what we do well with and then what areas we can improve upon and advance. So I don't have really any specifics at this point in time. I'm still learning.
Have you started your graduation speech yet, now that we locked down a date?
So, yeah, June 9th, by the way, so I just should have been at the update. I'm going to probably start having nightmares of name pronunciations starting in May when I get the list of students who are going to be graduating. But I've heard it's quite an event, and obviously that's a big part of the expense there is at the Xfinity Center. So, but I'm excited to be a part of. I've been watching YouTube videos of prior graduations to kind of prep myself for that. But yeah, no, I'm excited for the kids too. I know it was sort of, and I appreciate everyone's patience, which was sort of that tentative date, but there was some construction that was going on that we were trying to figure out when that date would be. But most importantly, for me personally, this senior class has been just an unbelievable class to become the principal of, and they just are a special group of kids. So it will be a bittersweet moment. I'm not one to get emotional, but I'm absolutely going to get emotional on that day because I've got to know some of these kids a lot.
Me too.
I know. I'm sure you are too as well. So
He gets emotional a lot. Vinny, did you have something you wanted to add? A request for the high school? Well, you have to go to the microphone.
Yeah, come on down. You know the drill.
I just think I have to say one of the things if we were going to think about would be some of our counseling staff, because as you saw, the demands that they're under right now in the world we're living in have increased. The number of programs that Casey has put together with the principals and the other folks, they're a big part of that. So I understand the reality, but you asked, and we're lucky to have such a great community where we have a lot of support. Whether it's Beth Rossi or Nicole, we just have a lot of support. But the demands, and I felt that I needed to say that, and their caseloads are going up. The demands on those caseloads are much higher than they used to be. So,
okay.
Can I say one more thing?
No.
So obviously this is the first year that we are one less administrator. So it's just Jesse Shaughnessy and I. I want to give. It's definitely at this point I believe we're doing great. We're above water and we're treading lightly. But I want to give a shout out to Jesse. He has really stepped up. It's been really cool to see him sort of grow as a leader. And I want to give a shout out to the staff because they have really picked up a lot of pieces in regards to things and helps keep Norton High move forward. So, but yeah, that's been one of those things. I remembered talking with Jen, and she was like, how has it been since one less administrator? And honestly, we make a good team, and the team is not just Jesse and I; it's all of us at Norton High School. So,
okay, thanks, TJ.
Thank you.
Okay, you're good.
Thank
You're
you.
all done.
Thank you. I have a question about the end of the budget book. We have a FY27 staff request. These are.
Oh, I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, no, that's, okay. Never mind. I just didn't know if that was part of the wish list.
So I have a
That
slide.
your wish list.
I have well, we kind of compiled everything together, but I have a slide that I'm going to walk through with you guys.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, Mrs. Winsper's not able to be here tonight. This is the tech budget. Again, this is not one that is in your packet, but this is taking those line items from all the different places and kind of putting them together. As you all, or most of you know, when it comes to hardware and software specifically, or our tech contract services, a lot of that has to do with security. And making sure that our network and our systems are protected in the best way possible. And it's very, very expensive to do that. And we know that when you don't have the appropriate protections, then you are susceptible to bad actors out there. And I would imagine that instructional hardware line that looks like it's up by 30%, I would imagine that is also Chromebooks. Is that correct, Christine?
Yes, and also, sorry, I was talking to Karen on the phone today. Some of our leases were up on our other devices in that building, so it was just renewing those leases as well.
All right. So, a few questions here. One, have we made any change, motion, something to get the damn Chromebooks out of our elementary schools at a one-to-one level? I mean, I just feel like we are spending a crazy amount of money to have kids buried in a device from pre-K all the way up through fifth grade. I get it. I understand they do MCAS on it. I understand that there's, the world we live in is technology driven. But every single study I have ever read is always saying the one of the big downfalls of education at the younger level is technology. And like going back to books, reading, pens, pencils, like, is that a savings somewhere that, and again, I'm dating myself here, but, back when we used to have units, we would have, a TV and a VCR that would kind of travel along with the unit. Is that something that we could possibly do to get?
On the big cart?
Yes.
You had a sub.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a good day.
Yeah, we're all Grove and same generation. So one of the things that Karen has been really looking at is the device replacement schedule at the elementary level. As you know, we got a ton of Chromebooks right before COVID, and then we got an $800,000 grant, and we were able to buy a ton of Chromebooks all at the same time. All of those devices are really coming to end of life. And so what we do now is students get a new Chromebook in grade 6, and they use that all the way up through grade 8, and then they get a new Chromebook in grade 9, and they use that for all of high school. The Chromebooks that are then retired from the middle school and high school are then moved down to other places. We are not actively buying new Chromebooks for anybody in elementary at this time. And what is going to happen at some point is we're not going to necessarily be one-to-one in places like second or third grade. So what will happen is you'll work your way down. You'll have the fifth grade who will be one-to-one the longest before everybody else. Same thing, we have iPads. Those are unfortunately not necessarily, we can't afford to replace them. So what will happen is those will move to a cart model for the iPads. And perhaps if, there's only 3 kindergartens at LGN, they can all share a cart. Students do need access because we do have curriculum resources that are available on either the Chromebook or the iPad based on the actual resource itself. So unfortunately, because we use our school choice to balance our budget, it's no longer available for those extra things that we were able to do many years ago. So it is almost going to be a little bit of a necessity to kind of pare down on those. And unfortunately, Mrs. Winsper is out at the moment, but I could actually later in the spring, if you guys have a good 2 hours, she could present to you on a big tech update, and we'll tell her to keep it brief, but she is really the best person to really speak towards that as well. But
You're saying unfortunately, and I'm sorry.
I know.
I am like, please get them out of elementary school. I hate them. I can't. Preschool, they don't need tablets. They're there for such a short amount of time. Get them out of there. So I actually think that's great.
Well, I'm sure that we can have a bigger conversation about it when Mrs. Winsper returns, if we'd like. Maybe in the spring, once the budget craziness is.
Yeah, I think if we could definitely get that, that'd be good. And then my second question on this is, the town now has a technology director. Has there been any, and I know this is very new for everybody, but has there been any talk or initial talks, if you will, of finding out if there's a way to get the town services, the school services, and the security systems around those things all on and underneath one roof?
So if anything, they would probably come under our service contracts versus us going under theirs. Number one, we have a much more robust program. We have a much more robust operation when it comes to safety and security, and we have much higher buying power than they do. So there has been some conversations about potentially getting in with us when we're buying new laptops, or looking at ways that we could have some savings in terms of actual hardware or contract services. I think the new town manager is still kind of working through that, and they just hired their new technician. I believe it was last week or very close to the beginning of this year. So I actually have not met this gentleman yet. So hopefully we will meet him in the near future.
So Nick, to kind of piggyback a little bit, the schools have always asked for something like that, but the town really never had people it was always like, yeah, it's the town manager wearing many hats. So we had talked about that with facilities, with, multiple different areas where we could work collaboratively, but now it seems the town has put people in those spots where we can have those more robust conversations.
Correct, because I think, at the end of the day, obviously you're extending your network, if you will, but you're also, like you said, you have a little bit more purchasing power, a little bit more, hey, we have this much coverage. If it saves us 5%, and it saves the town a little bit of money too, that every little bit helps.
And we're really happy, I think, with the contracts that we have. And I think Karen and her team have done a really nice job in setting us up for success. And so we're more than happy to share the experiences that we've had with them. And I don't think that we could take on their management day to day, because we have just, the sheer number of people and devices, et cetera. But it's definitely worth a conversation about how we can collaborate.
And didn't we put in for capital? Wasn't that one of the items?
Yes,
right?
network switches.
Yes. So, and that's not reflected.
No.
That's a separate.
That would be a capital item.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And I believe there's a 50%
yes.
reimbursement rate with that as well.
Yep.
Okay. We're almost there, friends. Now it's not working.
Famous last words.
All right, Mr. Lazat, with the facilities budget, would you like to come up? Okay, I'm on my talk. I can talk to my seat. So this comes with all of the custodial salaries as well as grounds. And again, you can see the question that Nick asked earlier regarding salaries. It really depends on the actual percentage COLA and then steps and lanes. Also, all of our maintenance of buildings and preventative maintenance. But Mr. Lazat can speak to that.
Yeah, this budget here is focused on maintaining the safe, clean, and well-functioning buildings for all our students and staff while supporting the long-term care and reliability of our facilities. I think this increase reflects the rising costs of materials, supplies that are needed to maintain our buildings, as well as higher expenses associated with contracted services. As you all know, the world is kind of making an adjustment on a lot of salaries, especially in the blue collar world. So a lot of our contractors students' wages have gone up quite a bit, and most of it is prevailing wage as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the same question probably good now that the town has a DPW director. You know, I would love to see that conversation possibly, you know, kind of come about a little bit more in terms of, you know, grounds and everything else. But first and foremost, Wade, great job. I know this winter has been a pain in the butt, and I'm sure, you know, your staff's been, you know, overworked and underpaid for sure. So just thank you for
Thank you. I appreciate that.
crushing the snow every which way, and
It's been a long
these
winter.
little storms are almost worse than the big ones.
It's been a long winter. Dr. Noniel and I were up at 3 o'clock this morning, going back and forth. Storms are always tough. I mean, you're dealing with so many different types of drivers. You're dealing with roads and all that. Unlike the DPW, our job is not only to clean our parking lots and our sidewalks, but it's also to maintain the facilities throughout the day. So I don't have the luxury of sending guys home. We have to stay there and maintain the buildings as well. So guys are putting in a lot of hours. It's a lot of work. We're lucky enough to do our schools ourselves, which is a lot of work with the equipment that we have. And I think, you know, I think kudos really has to go out to my 20-man crew that does an amazing job keeping our buildings clean, as well as keeping them safe for everybody. So thank you, Nick. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think one of the conversations we will have to have at some point is the facility shed. Is that something
Sooner
or
than
lack
later.
thereof?
Yes.
I know it's a tough conversation, but I mean, is that something you can try and address with the new DPW, or because I mean that building is probably well beyond its acceptable life, I would say.
Yes, well beyond. The DPW got out of it a long time ago, kind of handed it to us, and then we were kind of looking for a newer building, and we just kind of keep buying time. I mean, we are an academic institution. We're here to, you know, to teach our students. It's hard to justify millions of dollars on a new building for a facilities department. That's when we started talking about maybe shared space and all that. But I think like any department in this town, we seem to build just enough. We don't usually build space, you know, like our renovation of the high school is 2013. We're already bulging there. So it just seems like the DPW is already, you know, they don't have any room for us at all. So I do think it's a conversation that we do need to have. Our equipment is getting old. That's something that concerns us. The facilities department has taken a lot of hits in the past years, and we continue to do what we can. I think we do a lot. And I think the guys, the pride and the ownership that the crew have, I think it speaks volumes.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some rumblings about, you know, the next potential building within town is looking at the DPW, because even the building behind us is old.
Yeah.
You know, that I would definitely keep eyes and ears open in terms of what that looks like, because I think that would be the spot to kind of, hey, you know, give us a garage or two, sell off that land, sell off the old senior center, and, you know, figure out exactly how we can kind of, you know, get into that as well, because I think it's a huge need, and, you know, ultimately the two departments have to cross. You know, Jen, I'm sure you've talked to whether it be the DPW or Jared or someone about, you know, just town roads being open and schools, and, you know, how can we maximize resources from a town level, you know, and try to stop making a little bit more of a bridge than schools in town.
Absolutely.
That conversation might come up because of the old senior center, and that land is very valuable. So
Bingo.
and obviously we're part of it. So that might come up sooner than later.
Which would be great.
The wastewater treatment plant is also something that we need to talk about at some point in time.
Okay. Anything else for Wade?
Nope.
Thank you, Wade.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Wade.
Appreciate your support.
This is not working anymore. All right, so I wanted to share a little bit more information about kind of how this revenue model works. So as we know, the state formula is definitely not enough for us here in Norton. The biggest chunk of our funding comes from our local aid, which is Norton tax revenue. The next biggest one is the state aid, or Chapter 70, and then district revenue. And when I say district revenue, I mean things like school choice that we bring in, or athletic fees, transportation fees, those types of things. So the initial state budget from the governor's office was released last week. And what we are looking at is a 1.2% increase to Norton Public Schools, bringing us to $13,865,782,
or a whopping increase of $157,800. That is not going to move the needle for us in any way, shape, or form when we're looking at a $1.6 million increase. Mass General Law sets the minimum per pupil increase every year at $30. This budget actually assumes a $75 per student increase. Now, we know 2 years ago it was $104 per student. Last fiscal year was $150 per student. So we really won't know where this settles until probably July, is when we really get a better understanding of what that's going to look like. And, you know, by that point, the budget is over and we're, you know, already
in the new one.
We're already in the new one. So I think that's really important because, you know, the majority of our funding is coming locally, and we've been doing a ton of work for advocating at the state level and looking at the Chapter 70 foundation enrollment, advocating that changes need to be made, and then also looking at circuit breaker as well as special education transportation reimbursement. And then, so I brought this one back for you guys. So, and this is this staff request that we were talking about earlier. And what I really did was kind of took all of the staff requests that were put forward by our team this year and broke them down into where do we want to see things. So we really need a grade 5 classroom teacher. The class size for our current fourth graders, there are currently in 8 fourth grade classrooms. We only have 7 fifth grade classrooms. And just the level of need for those students and the number of students that would be in the classroom, that is something that is absolutely necessary for us for this upcoming school year. And we believe we can do that within the constructs of this budget and enrollment declines in other areas. Really needs-based, almost mandated for us are these other 2 positions that I shared with you when we last met. The special education teacher at Norton High School for our language-based program. We have a number of students that are aging up from the middle school, and therefore we would be over capacity at the high school in those programs. And then our English language teacher, increasing that from a 0.6 position to a full-time, so that would be an increase of 0.4. The things that are not included in this particular budget, but honestly, I feel are actual needs, is the Dean of Students at JCS. We have over 500 students there with 1 administrator and then a preschool coordinator. When Mr. Barrett is not there, it's very challenging, the day-to-day of operations. He really needs someone to be able to come in and support conversations with students about incidents that may happen on the bus or calling a parent when they have a concern. Wade just mentioned the custodial team. They've been doing an incredible job. We are absolutely in desperate need of another night custodian to be able to clean the buildings at night. Right now we have one gentleman that is, you know, back and forth between multiple buildings just to make sure that we're getting things done. And our schools are so busy day to day, you know, and the custodians are the first line of contact when a child is sick or water spills on the floor or whatever it might be. They're always at lunch duty, helping kids clean up, you know, turning the cafeterias over super quick in between lunches. So the main cleaning of the day really can't get done until students and staff have left. And then the other position that really is a need but is not shown in this budget is the STEAM teacher at Norton Middle School. You heard Mr. Hayward talk about the fact that he used to have 8 specialists and now they're down to 5. This year we had to pay another one of our specialists to lose their prep, so we would have enough time for all students and teachers to get their preps. And so that's really difficult. You do what you can with what you have. And then if we're thinking about things that are strategic or even competitive, I'm not going to lie, I'm not sure that some of this stuff is competitive. Like adding another adjustment counselor, you heard from Mr. Searcy tonight, we absolutely need that. Kindergarten assistants, this has been something that we've talked about every single year. A part-time assistant in every kindergarten classroom just for the morning, and we would have their specials be in the afternoon. Mrs. Jermis, who is our elementary librarian, currently runs libraries at JCS, LGN, and the Yale. If we could have someone that would be the
librarian at the Yale and at the middle school, we would actually have a functioning middle school librarian. Restoring world language, bringing world language back to the middle school, that 6th, 7th, and 8th graders can have exposure to another language and culture before they reach high school. And then, as you know, when we had our big cuts in FY25, we lost our digital literacy specialists, as well as our academic coaches that were really pivotal in providing professional development and data work to support our staff. So this is where I put all of those, and I know that this is a little bit different from how I've kind of showed it to you in the past, but I really like the way that this was set up, and I think it shows you a tiered approach to what we're really looking for if funds were to become available.
Jen, when we look at like a dean of students position, is there any, like, what's the like industry practice? Like when you get to a certain number, it should be like 2 administrators in a building or something like that. Like, is there anything out there that exists? Like, I mean, obviously it's not a state law or else we would have figured it out, but like, what is like the acceptable industry practice for something like this? Is there a magic number for enrollment?
I'll be honest, Dan, I don't know. That's a great question, and I would absolutely like do a little bit of research into that and get back to you. But I don't want to make up a number and, just tell you. I mean, the enrollment at JCS is higher than the enrollment at the Yale. And at the Yale, we have Mr. Balawa as a dean of students. Are the, behavioral needs of 4th and 5th graders different than K to 3? Sure, absolutely. But I also think it's not that much of a significant difference that we wouldn't have someone at JCS. And I think, for Mr. Barrett, I think it's a very overwhelming role to be that, one person who's kind of in charge of everything. And yes, we have an early childhood coordinator. That person is also running all the IEP meetings for preschool. They are also, doing home visits or going out to early intervention and doing site visits with families and students there. So we used to have that job share responsibilities, and both positions were kind of getting short. Thank you. Shortchanged. I'm like, what's the word I want to use? So it's really challenging. So ideally, what I would like to do is post it as a dean of students, and take someone from within that's in a teaching role that is maybe thinking about administration or, kind of wants to take on that role. And then we would backfill that classroom position with a first year teacher that would, so it wouldn't be a $100,000 position.
Jen, can you explain the difference of a assistant principal to a dean of students, and why a dean of students and not an assistant principal?
First, I think what we could do is we could take someone from the classroom, and they would still be a member of the Norton Teachers Association. So the salary scale is exactly what you see in our teacher's contract. It would be based on years of service and education. They would not need to be licensed as an administrator, and they would not be responsible for observing and evaluating teachers. So their work would be much more student-facing in terms of talking with students when there may be a disagreement on the playground, or calling a parent when something happens. They would really be kind of getting that front end of things that happen day to day. Being outside when we're doing arrival and dismissal, supporting at lunch duty, handling any maybe coverage issues when it comes to staffing, being another set of eyes and ears for teachers, being that first line of defense when something comes up that they don't necessarily have to go to the principal for, who in reality, the principal should be the instructional leader of a school. And we're having all of these conversations about how important it is for us to be in classrooms, for how important it is for us to be giving actionable feedback to teachers on our goals, to be looking at data. And if you're one person in a school of 500 students, it's very, very difficult to do that.
So the biggest difference, I guess, from an assistant principal to a dean would be the teacher evals for the most part?
Yep.
Okay, so here would be my concern, knowing that, with the teachers' contracts and everything else. We also generally, in my 3.5 years here, have kind of struggled making sure we keep, especially at the elementary level, especially at JCS, keeping up with teacher evals, making sure we're actually getting out there and doing them. I think one year we had central admin going into JCS to help out. And obviously with the way the new contract is written, that is going to be a huge piece to the budgeting process in terms of, like Brian has said multiple times, multi-million-dollar decisions. So there's a part of me that, like, I get the understanding of a dean, but I also think having another administrator there who can help with the teacher evals and being able to step in, because being a principal and being a dean of students is slightly different, but like, where you have, a principal out, an assistant principal to be able to step up and lead the school in an event that, a principal's out for a month, 2 months, 3 months, down the road. So there's a part of me that I'm like, I get the dean of students, but at a school the size of JCS, I feel like we really should be looking at an assistant principal there.
And I mean, ultimately, I'm open to whatever the committee really feels is the best approach. I was looking at this from kind of a fiscally conservative, a little bit different. I don't know that we would have anyone in-house that might be interested in an assistant principal role. And so therefore you wouldn't necessarily be backfilling with somebody at a, first year teacher salary. You would be looking at the whole cost of the position.
Yeah. No, I totally get that.
Yeah.
And if we look back historically, there were 2 principals there. And then when we had those serious budget cuts, that position just wasn't filled when that person left.
Correct.
Also, if we continue to look at things historically, middle school did have a dean of students for, a year, 2 years, and then that was cut, and then that teacher was placed back into the classroom. So I agree with you, but if we're looking at things realistically and saying that we're not going to get that 4%, that's
I think
nice,
the other
but-
thing too is when we consider the dean of students as, kind of being the point person to talk with the kids if there's an issue, then that frees up the principal from doing that. Then they can get out and do those evaluations. So, I mean, something's better than nothing, because clearly we have nothing, and that's probably not the best approach right now. But maybe, and that's the thing is, maybe if we can get something like this into the budget, we try this. If this approach isn't working, then we move to the next approach.
Yeah, I just...
but it seems to work at the Yale, so that's kind of where I'm going with it. Like, so they've made it work at the Yale historically for as long as I've been around. There's always been the dean there. So there's precedent that it works at one. Why might it not work at the other?
No, I totally get that. I just think, like, when you look at the teacher's steps and where we'd probably be pulling from, and then how much it would be for an assistant principal, you're not looking at a whole huge change in money. Generally speaking. Now, the other...
Nick Schleicher would tell me to spend more.
The other...
Right?
strategically
A recording,
spend.
right, Shane?
So, and then the other thing here that I think is a huge part of a district standpoint is by bringing on an assistant principal, you're learning. So when someone leaves, retires, goes to a different district, you might have someone in-house ready to go, and we're not replacing principals from, again, making sure the person's good and everything else. But
Absolutely.
you kind of have someone in-house ready to step in, and then you don't have this transition every 3 years of the elementary school principal leaving and trying to start over and trying to keep the staff happy. So, like, that is a piece that, like, especially at the JCS, I think it's our second most popular school, third?
Should be the third. Middle
third.
school's bigger.
Yep. So your third most popular school, to me, like that would be an area where I think it might be a huge benefit to look and say, hey, yeah, it's going to cost us a little bit more money, but strategically, in the end, back to Brian's point, it can save us millions.
Well, I mean, we're seeing that right now with you and Brian having to split time there to cover that school. So I mean, we're already seeing that.
But
benefit
we would
now.
have to do that with the dean of students. The dean of students couldn't run the building, so admin would still have to go down there.
Vinny, I don't want to put you on the spot, and I know you didn't have the dean for a long time, but how did that division of labor work for you with the dean versus an AP as well?
Sorry, Vinny, you have to come up because otherwise I can't hear you at home.
As Jen alluded to, the principal should be the academic, the instructional leader of the building. oftentimes when we had situations come up, I felt like Mr. Goldstein's assistant because I had to jump in on the behavioral end or the supervision end. I'd spend, like right now, I spend a lot of time in the lunchroom covering that. The dean of students for the middle school really allowed us to drive initiatives. Our PBIS, bringing that stuff in, our Character Strong programs. So the dean of student really pushed initiatives. I was able to focus on the academic stuff. Myself and Mr. Goldstein are able to get into classrooms. We usually hit our targets as far as evaluations. So that was never so much of a thing. As far as the dean of students, it was the most student-facing position in my building. Every student knew Mrs. Benoit's voice. She interacted with everybody. Again, for us at that time, we were kind of pushing in IMTSS, PBIS, and our Character Strong. And it was a huge benefit to have a dean of students to drive initiatives, which are really the improvement elements of a school. You always have math, English, social studies. You always have those things. You always have kids with behavior. But the things that really change and improve our school were our initiatives that we drive. And that was where it was a big help for us.
So
our teachers have picked up that since Mrs. Benoit's left.
So if we flip the script and say you had a dean but not an AP, how much more is that on you? Because now that's everything.
That's a lot more.
And I'm honestly, I'm trying to paint a picture of what is the best case scenario
that's
for
a
the
lot
district.
more like, just for me, like when it came to suspensions and things like that, with the dean, I would always like take a second look. Mr. Goldstein's been at it a while. We've actually written into our handbooks for stuff that's less than, a long-term suspension. The authority and responsibility lies with him. I don't have to review it. He gathers the facts and makes the decision with the dean for those major things, and those are the time consumers. I'd probably have to look at that again, and I wouldn't have the evaluation piece. So that model would not work at the middle school.
Yeah.
Don't cut that.
No, like I said, I'm just,
What did I walk into?
Thought you got off easy.
I was like, whoa, this took.
No,
a turn.
I honestly was looking for your insights because you had the dean for a little bit and you've had the AP for a while, so I'm looking to kind of build that case and for. I mean, you said you didn't have much to cut, but
I
I'm just,
know. I was like, you found the thing to cut.
No, thank you, Vinny. I appreciate it.
And then Jen, just a point of clarification here. So the level services classroom teacher is in this budget.
Correct.
The needs-based, so special education and English language teacher is in this budget.
Correct.
The three red ones are not.
Yes, I still consider them needs, quite honestly, but they are not
Not in the
currently
budget.
funded in this version.
And then anything on the top line or higher is
Those would be
not.
nice to have.
Those are nice to have, but not in this budget.
Correct. And then we also, sorry, you can't see that because, we have other funding sources that I think it's really important to share that there are other things that are actually funding our budget. So in FY27, we are looking at about $1.7 million in school choice. That is only one staff person, and clearly their position is not $1.7 million. A lot of the other lines that we shared with you tonight in terms of technology, curriculum, all of those things are paid for by our school choice lines. Circuit breaker is that special education reimbursement that is required to go strictly to tuitions. We are not able to use any of that for staffing. We have facilities revolving. That is money that we bring in from renting out our spaces or charging custodial overtime, those types of things. Currently, part of that pays our director's salary, Mr. Lazat's salary, and then some of our custodians, 3.6. Preschool is our preschool tuition line. So families of peer models that are paying for their children to attend preschool, that is 4 staff members. Transportation goes directly to paying our contract with the big yellow school buses. Tuition, that now is a bigger line item than we've had in the past, because it also integrates with our new contract with Reeds. And so we haven't quite figured out exactly how we're going to use that yet, because we will be using it for staff that connect with those particular students. So it really will, be something that the business office spends some time kind of figuring out what makes the most sense. And then athletics, that is what families pay to participate in our athletic programs, and that goes to offset our athletics budget. Laura asked earlier about some of the grants and how those are shown and paid. So we projected out our increases for next year based on our current allocations. We don't get the actual allocations of any of these entitlement grants until usually about the third week in July. So these are based on strict projections. About 16 staff members with the federal SPED entitlement grant, one staff member with the early childhood grant. Title I is about 2.75 of our reading specialists or tutors. And then Title II, Title III, and Title IV. I'm actually very nervous about all three of those grants. There's a lot of conversation that all three of those grants will be eliminated at the federal level. And so they do not support any staffing. And really, that $54,000 for Title II, that is the entirety of our professional development budget. Title III, we actually are part of a consortium with the Seekonk Public Schools. And so that goes to support our ELS students and developing curriculum for them. And then Title IV typically goes to PBIS or CPI training there.
So are we fairly confident that the top three will likely remain as they are, and we're just worried about that?
Yep. And so everything that I'm hearing
about 100,000
is that we should not see any changes in the special education entitlement, the early childhood, or Title I. Though all those programs are still actively being discussed at the federal level. Title II, Title III, and Title IV are the wild cards. And then everyone's favorite topic, school choice. And so on the left-hand side is, the last few years, the funds that we've received and then the funds that we've expended. So as you know, we really can't tie out our choice choice info until the end of the school year. So as of today, or as of this week, we've spent $1.2 million in school choice so far this year. And then also you can see our enrollment numbers, and those are by grade level, by year. So we are down to 204 students for this current school year.
How does the 204 match up? I know we had quite a lively discussion towards the end of last school year, but were we at capacity with school choice, or would you still wind up with some openings here and there? Because I know we had set certain levels.
So the only places we added seats were 9 and 10 combined in grade 7. 5 of them are grade 7. So we did not fill the grade 7 seats, but we did fill the grades 9 and 10. 2 seats in grade 7. Okay. We did not fill all of them.
Yeah.
And then we kept the staffing component.
And we're still only getting $5,000 per student, correct?
Yes. And that's it. So a little bit different than what our workshops usually look like. So hopefully that was a lot of information for you. I'm more than happy to answer any additional questions that you might have.
Fees. So we got the fee schedule, which is great. I think that was kind of exactly what we're looking for from kind of what I call them additional
expenditures.
Yeah, additional expenditures, a tax on parents, whatever you kind of want to call it. That's kind of what it is. However, can we get an idea? And I think again, this might take some research, obviously, for sure. Can we just get an idea on like how much these fees are actually offsetting the programming we have? Obviously from athletic standpoint, club standpoint, transportation. And then obviously, parking, I can't see doing too much. But, kind of what does that all look like in terms of how much are we actually offsetting with these fees would be a good start, I think.
Are you looking for a percentage or just in general?
I guess.
So I think it's like if, we're paying, if our bus contract is,
Yeah, so
$1.7 million.
I can answer it briefly, and if
Yeah.
you want to go into more detail at a
Yeah.
different meeting. But so when it comes to I'll start with the sports. Middle school sports, it's with the increases that we had with the no caps and everything as well. It's almost a wash. The total cost is around like 43,000
That's with all coaches, transportation, everything involved.
for middle school.
Middle
Yes.
school, okay.
And then you can see the revenue that we brought in, which was around 39. So this is FY25 I'm talking about.
Okay. Yep, gotcha.
To make it easy.
Yep.
And then the high school, we're bringing in about 180,000. That one's a little bit more. It's about 400,000 plus our officials and all those, like the officials, staff workers, rentals. I'm looping those more into the athletics, high school. Because that's generally where those are coming out of. So that's about 696,000 total.
So that would
So-
be rentals where we're renting like Wheaton
Correct.
or something.
Yep.
Okay.
Or like ice hockey rinks or anything.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So about 700,000 versus 180,000.
Okay.
For the transportation, that is much higher than it has ever been, and that is because of the increase of fee that we did a couple of years ago. Well, for 25. And that is over $1 million, and then that kind of went up to close to, where is it? 175,000.
So our bus contract's over $1 million,
Correct.
and then we're bringing in 175. Well, almost 176. Okay. What about? Do we have clubs, or is that a little too hard?
I can get that for you.
Yeah,
It's
fine.
Under 30,000 or right around there. That would be the difference, the net
In that,
of how
okay.
much. Yeah.
Okay. And then parking, that goes to our facilities revolving?
No, that's separate. It's parking revolving.
Parking revolving
Yep.
by itself. And then, but that helps offset plowing, snow blowing,
Like
shoveling,
salt,
whatever.
Anything to do with just the high school only, though. It can't be used any other. That's Massachusetts statute. Like, we can't even buy a plow for the high school and then move it to the middle school if we use that line. Because it was bought with high school funds. We ran into that problem about 7 years ago when we tried to move a piece of equipment.
Got it. Cool. All right. That helps. Thank you.
So for additional information, we talked about a shared staff list. We also talked about information comparables for local districts or dark districts when it comes to that pie chart that we talked about, percentages by function. And then Christine will get information in terms of clubs. Is there anything else that the committee would like to see?
Christine, can we just have a point of clarification here?
Sure.
So the version 2 copy for the binder, that's the new one for
Yeah, I'll get you a new
Adam,
separate
obviously.
page.
Okay.
Yep.
And then these same ones, we have one for school committee, one for special ed, and then one for facilities, correct?
Yeah, because that's where
That's
the changes took place.
Perfect. Got it. Sorry, we just have a lot of papers up here.
I know, I'm sorry.
That's a line item.
Yeah.
That's it.
Up to date here.
Okay. I just want to take a minute to just thank everyone who's here tonight so we can kind of pepper them with questions. And, those who weren't with us, obviously took the time to prepare these budgets. Budget, I think we all have a love-hate relationship with our budgets historically. So just know that we continue to do the best we can with, with whatever piece of the pie we get. And we will continue to try and do that to help support everybody, top to bottom in the district. So thank you to all of you that took the time to put this together with Jen and Christine, and especially you guys as well for putting this together. This is one of the better presentations we've had historically, going back to the mini font link days. Them. So just thank you to everybody who was involved in this process. It is never an easy one, and hopefully someday it will be.
Thank
Anything
you.
else?
Thanks to my team for being here tonight. Greatly appreciate it.
Okay. Anything else on the budget? No. Okay.
Sorry, can we just so the public knows, do we know what is the next steps here for the budget in regards to school committee approval, then onto the town, and then onto town meeting?
Yep. So we need to do a official budget hearing. So that will be done
Looks like it's next one.
at our next meeting, March 4th.
Yep.
So that will be publicized in the paper. We open the hearing, we close the hearing. And then after that, the school committee will need to vote on what they want to send forward to town hall. Our budget is due to town hall 8 weeks prior to town meeting. So we get that to them, and then
Do we have a date for town meeting that we know when that 8 weeks is?
yes, we do.
We're still within the time frame.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Okay.
We got plenty of time. And then typically we are asked to present at finance committee. So we are waiting on that invitation. Fall town meeting is Monday, May 18th.
Okay.
And then
Spring
it
town
goes.
meeting.
Yes.
Yep.
Did I say fall?
Yeah, you did.
Oh gosh, I hope it's not fall.
We want the fall weather, just not the
Oh
meeting.
no, I want spring weather.
Okay. All right. So last and final is any other business or topics not reasonably anticipated in 48 hours? Anybody?
I have two. One, and a big one. We have reached a tentative agreement with the Norton Teachers Association. Hopefully, obviously, we got to do the dotting of I's and crossing of T's with lawyer and reps and everybody else. But from the school committee standpoint, obviously, we'll have to vote on it. They still have to ratify it, but we have officially finished bargaining, and we're in a good spot there. So that's a great thing. I don't know, Justine, if you want to add anything.
Just thank you to those that are on the NTAE board and negotiations team and our team, Brian, Christine, Jen, myself, and Nick. There were a lot of hours, I think, put in on all ends, and I think everybody is very relieved to be where we are right now. So thank you, and hopefully we can officially sign it and be done.
So I know with the last meeting, I believe we talked about mediation. So I believe our lawyer will kind of be retracting our letter about mediation. So we would avoid mediation altogether. We never even met with a mediator, which is a great, definitely a great thing for the district in terms of getting this done. And now we get to go into budget season with actual numbers and whatnot. So that's always good as well. Then anything else on negotiations?
No, just thank you to the school committee for their work and their time, and thank you for the negotiations team and the e-board. I think all of us around the table were very happy and relieved this afternoon. So thank you to all of you.
And then the only other thing I had was me and Laura sat down with Desi and just kind of gave our 2 cents to Desi and what all the fun things that we do with them. It was actually pretty good. It was kind of just being able to talk it out. I forget what her name was, but she was great to kind of listen and talked about meeting with our students and meeting with principals and admins and teachers and everything else. And that was, I thought, a pretty good thing that we were kind of included in on that. I think there's challenges. I think they know the challenges. Around Chapter 70 funding and all that fun stuff. So hopefully we start seeing some type of legislation move forward. And then I am also the legislative rep for the committee. And I did talk to Mike Chasen and Steve Howitt. And they believe, hopefully again, probably it's not going to be done in time for our budget, but they do believe the $75 number from the governor will be, they use the word corrected, via the state legislature. So hopefully that number will go up and our minimum aid will kind of be a little bit higher, hopefully back to 150 or even more. Obviously, that's a whole process, within the state legislature, but hopefully that number will come up a little bit, and then, we all know the challenges within the state funding and how this whole thing works. So hopefully we can start making some headway with legislation, because it's not just us. This is ongoing issue across the entire state with funding. You've seen it, from very affluent communities, down to our inner cities. And, just a struggle of public education and trying to figure out, what's the best way to do it, and how to fund it properly. Because I think pretty much everybody in this room would agree that, there are some real sticking points from state funding, to districts, that is really riding on residents, one way or another. But again, that's a conversation for a bigger day, but Desi was definitely good. And, like I said, thank you to Laura and sitting on that and doing that for an hour or so. So.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Nope. Okay. Anything else from you guys?
Nope.
No? Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a great night.